Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Flores, Program Coordinator for Healthy Steps 0 to 3, and I'd like to welcome those of you joining us as we celebrate Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month. Today, we're highlighting one of 0 to 3's board members, Abel Covarrubias, who is currently the CEO for Aprendamos Family Services. Welcome, Abel. Thank you for joining us.
Well, good morning, Melissa, and thank you for this beautiful opportunity to tell my story. So I truly appreciate that. It's an opportunity to honor those that have come before me this morning.
So I'd love it if you could tell me a little bit about the work that you do. And I'm really interested in learning the influence your heritage has had in the work that you do.
All right, Melissa. Well, I am a proud first-generation Mexican-American whose parents migrated from the United States from Mexico to live the American dream. They left their beautiful country in hopes of giving their children an opportunity to dream big one day. I am one of 9 siblings that grew up in a small farming community of Array, where family really was the cornerstone of everything we did. Everyone looked after each other. We were one big family in a community of about 200 residents. As a result, we believed in planting seeds and really looking at after each other and looking for opportunities that were going to benefit one another. And I really need to take this time to honor my parents and siblings. They have paved the way, and that's the reason why I'm here today and have had these wonderful opportunities. It was my parents really who naturally modeled many beautiful core values that today I really hold close to my heart. I mean, they were like family was important, integrity, faith, commitment, compassion, and the importance of just really paying it forward. And I remember even just relationships and respects. I remember my parents going to the parent-teacher conference, and my mom and dad wouldn't even ask how we were doing in school. The first thing they asked was, how's he behaving? Is he respecting you? And it was really important as something that was modeled by my parents was the importance that we honored our differences and that we all really had gifts and talents that we all brought to the table. And so I'm very, very grateful that my parents allowed me to also use my imagination and the ability to dream big. I remember playing in the ditch banks with my little brother and using my imagination and always wanting one day to be a doctor or a professor or a teacher. You know, these values, I guess, and these experiences, really, I hold them close to my heart. And that is my heritage. This is what really informs my work today, I believe. And this is how I show up every day, carrying those values in my heart and in my mind. And really, you asked about my early childhood work. Today, as the Chief Executive Officer, I have an amazing company. I really have the honor of leading 230 passionate, mostly women that wake up every day, leave their own families at home to really help support the development of our babies here in our community. We grew from 1 program, our early intervention program, Melissa, to like 6 programs now. We have a home visiting program, a conscious fathering program to support daddies and mommies, our autism program, which is Mariposa Autism Service Center. We have an outpatient clinic where we provide speech and language services, occupational and physical therapy. And then our new program is our counseling center. I really believe, Melissa, that the core values modeled and really that were reinforced by not only my parents, my brothers, and my community are really in alignment with the core values of the organization and my 0 to 3 family and the vision of and the mission of 0 to 3. I think all of us really believe in the sense of belonging and the importance of inclusion. And so I laugh. I grew up in a family of 9, 200 people in my small community. I grew my family to 230 additional family members, my Aprendamos family. And then now I have my 0 to 3 family. And so really, like, if you were to kind of put all that into perspective, family is extremely, extremely important to me. So I really have the best job in the world, and that's really to honor the diversity and culture of those that we serve today in my community. You know, it's our goal and vision to help support their overall development and their well-being. And so really, it's investing in those babies, and that's our future generation. And I know that that's something that 0 to 3 really believes in. And so I'm really honored to be part of the 0 to 3 family. So
I just love that. And I just, to be a CEO and to have walked in so many, to have climbed such a ladder and walked in so many shoes and to hold such a family value in that capacity, I think is so important. Wow.
And the one thing I'm really, I believe that we all show up with our own unique and beautiful story. And really that's what makes us very unique human beings. And here at Aprendamos, we really have the honor to listen to all those beautiful stories that every family member brings to the table. And so really our job is to help make those connections, because when we pause and truly listen, we all have something in common. And I know regardless of our race, gender, ethnicity, really as a parent, we all want our kids to dream big and to live out those dreams. And so, like I said, that's something that I truly believe that 0 to 3 believes in. And so I am very humbled and honored to be part of the 0 to 3 board, and be part of that 0 to 3 family that also aligns nicely with my own core values. And I know that back in 2006, Melissa, I had the privilege of being a 0 to 3 fellow. Really, that's where my story began, and that my connection to 0 to 3. So I had the privilege of being surrounded by some amazing fellows and a great mentor, Lynette H. Really, and it was these experiences that really reinforced my core values and what I believe in, and that's honoring families, the diversity, and being compassionate and really committing to these babies, they're our future generations. So what a golden opportunity to do that and be part of that someone's journey.
Well, I can say with confidence that we are very, very lucky to have you on the board and to have worked with our fellows. So thank you so much. I think that was just so insightful, and just what a way to bring your heritage and your family and all the things that you value about your family and the way you grew up, and bringing that to your work. It's so refreshing. I'm sure that your voice just feels so valued, and that's important.
Yeah, it's my dad's birthday was this week, so I think this was good timing to honor him. We lost him eight years ago, and I know that he was a big supporter. When you think about secure attachments, he was a dad, who grew up in Mexico, and I was one of the brothers that just didn't stay in farming, because I think I ruined too many crops. And he was just so caring and compassionate and never really shamed me for not being a good kid, on the farm. If anything, he kind of allowed me to use my gifts in other ways. And when you look at what I know now in terms of, having those secure relationships and experiences, I think, wow, my dad was just doing it indirectly without having the science behind it. He
You
just
didn't have to take a test or anything. He just kind of knew. We're just
he
going to
knew
build
what he had to do. And so what a great opportunity this week to be part of this interview and then honor his birthday and his legacy.
Oh, well, happy birthday. I'm sure he's looking down very proud. I think you've already touched on this a little bit in the first question, but has the work provided you an opportunity to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion? And if so, tell me a little bit more about how and the impact that that's had.
Absolutely. You know what, Melissa, here at Aprendamos, we work really hard to honor each family. We work really hard to honor their story, where they come from. I mean, their challenges, aspirations, and dreams. Really, it's our job to identify and remove those barriers that are impacting our families and their ability to live out their own dreams and those of their babies. So here at Aprendamos, we've really embraced a lens of abundance and really looking at what are the gifts and talents that every individual brings to the table. And we have to remind ourselves, we have to give people that space to be at the table and to give them a voice. So really our goal, and it's something that I think really aligns nicely with 0 to 3's mission, is to really create spaces for children to thrive and learn. We also believe that we can't do it alone. Like you said, as a first-time parent, we need our community. So we really rely on our community partners to have these courageous conversations, to be able to remove barriers and provide access to these important services to the children and the families that we serve. So it means that we have to pause and really identify what gifts does each organization or each individual bring to the table. These are organizations that maybe are addressing like food insecurities, housing, transportation. So recently, an example, Melissa, that we just recently did was my family and I established an endowment at the Community Foundation of Southern New Mexico. And so it's called the Advancing Social Equity Initiative. So we're really proud that it's going to help fund 2 nonprofits who are working on building equity or equitable practices within their organization. So that's just an example, going back to my farming upbringing of planting seeds, and paying it forward. And that's something that I believe my parents modeled every day. I remember many times playing out on the ditch banks or out in the fields, and we would stop playing because we would encounter 2 or 3 migrant farm workers who had left their beautiful country and were tired, had needed a place to sleep, and we would stop. I would run in, tell my mom, and let her know that there was a couple of individuals that were hungry, needed water. She would stop what she was doing, and she would go into making them burritos, and we would take them burritos and talk to them. And then my dad would follow up with giving them a warm place to sleep as they went on on their journey to live out the American dream. So I think it's that whole idea of paying it forward and really acknowledging that every human being has gifts, that they bring to the table, and we learn from those experiences. So I know that here at 0 to 3, I'm really proud that as an organization, we're engaging intentionally in meaningful conversations that are promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion as we help shape our 0 to 3, I call it ZTT, 0 to 3 culture, and policies that really are benefiting our babies and their families. I mean, these are our future generations. So what a great opportunity. And I tell this to everybody, I'm really humbled to be part of this amazing family. I'm always amazed when I go to board meetings or I meet individuals like yourself or others, and I'm like, wow, I thank God every day that I'm given this opportunity to interact with individuals that believe in what I believe in.
Well, we can, just in the way you talk about it, it's so obvious that you believe in it, you're very knowledgeable about it. And I think that is just so important. There's so many, there's so many people out there that are still learning it. And these conversations are happening and these initiatives are happening to teach others. And so for you to be a leader in these efforts at a time when we need it most, that's just a beautiful thing. And it's so important. So thank you for seeing that as such a necessity and really holding that standard high there. So I can speak for someone that works for 0 to 3. I appreciate knowing that someone on the board, I know there's multiple on the board, that really hold that high and so knowledgeable. And as an organization, we're learning and therefore able to share with our members. And I work for Healthy Steps, our Healthy Steps network, because of these initiatives that you all are putting in place that are so important. So thank you. So do you have any advice or inspiration for those who are listening for early childhood professionals as we work towards promoting diversity and equity in the early childhood fields?
That's a great question, Melissa. I just want to really encourage everybody to remember to honor everyone's story. If we take time to pause and truly listen, I mean, that's the most difficult piece of it. What the world we live in, we're multitasking, but if you truly listen, we will find some amazing connection and commonalities among the individuals that you meet along your journey. We all have a beautiful story that is diverse, unique, and worth sharing. So really also taking the time to share your story. I think as human beings, we all want the best for ourselves and for our children and our community. The other advice I think it's extremely important is to connect our mind, all of that knowledge that we have up here, with our heart, and really aligning all of our decisions with our core values, and really pausing and saying, does this really truly align with the core values of my organization, the core values of my community? And then one other thing too that I think is very simple, that I think it was modeled by my parents and my community, was to encourage every early childhood professional to dream big themselves, but then also encourage every child to dream big. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And that's something very simple, but it's something that we sometimes forget. And I also, going back to how I was raised, I always think of planting seeds and seeing things grow. I know my parents are chili farmers, and they raise chili and onions. And so really it's taking time to plant those little seeds to help shape our future generations. Because at the end of the day, Melissa, we need to honor our heritage while using our gifts to be part of that systemic change and that transformational change we wish to see in our communities and in our country. And we also need to remember, and I think this is the important piece, is to not to forget to mentor someone along your journey. Really, because at the end of the day, I believe that our legacy is not going to be measured by the money in our bank account or the car we drove, but our legacy is going to be measured by the number of individuals who we touched along the way. So even just a simple smile or pausing to have a simple conversation with somebody and acknowledging that individual as a human being may make a big difference in their life. So they're just little simple, I think, suggestions that I'm recommending, but I know that there are suggestions that were made to me that have really made a big difference in my life and in the life of my family and my 3 daughters and in my wife. And I tell people we have to have some self-compassion. We're a work in progress, so we have to remember that.
That is so beautifully said. And I think that we need it more. We need to hear that more than ever right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and you say, just smile and get to know. I feel like the connections get lost sometimes. Everything's so virtual, or we're behind a mask, or 6-foot distance. We're just unable to see each other. And it is important for us to hear that and be reminded of how important those connections are, how important it is to, to think about your legacy and think about outside of the box ways that we can connect with one another and keep that as an important value in the work that we do with some of the current challenges that I think it does make it a little bit harder, but the reminder's there, and it's important for us to hear. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, well, I truly appreciated this opportunity, Melissa, to tell my story. I think it was great timing to really take the time to honor those, like I said, that have come before me.